Hello, welcome. So I wanted to do a check-in on my reading goals, and since it's the middle of the year now, half the year is done, I decided now would be the perfect time. This video is also partially going to be a book haul, so if you are not at all interested in my goals and how far I've come on them, feel free to skip straight to the book haul section. I'll put a chapter for it, so yeah, otherwise let's get into the goals. Okay, so I had goals as far as like what kinds of books I wanted to read. And then I also had goals of specific books or series that I wanted to start or read. So we're going to go over both of those and I'll have two different sections for those. So first is the number goals, the number of different kinds of books that I want to read. First of all, overall, I want to read 50 books this year. That's a lot for me. I don't know if that's necessarily a lot for other people, but for me it is. So I want to read 50 books. And so far I am half done. So I'm basically on track. I've read 25 books. Next, let me just go through all my other goals that I wanted to try and complete for this year. And I need to look at my notes for this. So let me just look over here. Okay, so first I want to read 5 middle grade books and specifically not rereads because I plan on doing some rereads of series from when I was younger that I liked. So I'm going to exclude those just because I wanted to get new middle grade books and new to me. The next goal is that I wanted to read 7 books that I own. I really like going to the library. I get a lot of stuff from the library, but I also do like to buy books. So I have a lot of books that I need to read that I need to get through. So that's what this goal is for. The next one is urban fantasy. I want to read 5 urban fantasy books. It's one of my favorite subgenres of fantasy, but for some reason I have a problem finding books that I actually like in the genre. So I wanted to make that one of my goals. The next goal is I want to read 5 sci-fi books. Sci-fi is another genre I really like, but for some reason I just don't read a lot of it. So I want to read more of that. And my last goal in this section is that I want to read at least 2 new releases. So basically books that are released in this year, 2023. Okay, so how am I doing with these? First of all, with middle grade, I have read 2 new middle grades. The first is Winter House by Ben Guterson, and the second is Wondersmith, The Calling of Morgan Crow. I forget what that one's called. I'll put it up on the screen. By Jessica Townsend. Okay, books I own. This goal I'm actually done with. I've read 8 books that I own. Actually, even more than that, but there's one I'm not really counting for reasons I'll explain, but anyways, I'm good on this goal. So books that complete this goal are Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart, Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett, also little asterisk here, Shorefall by Robert Jackson Bennett. I'm not counting this one because I bought it specifically to follow up Foundryside, so I didn't like buy it just to have it and get to it when I wanted to get to it. I bought it specifically to read to follow up Foundryside, so like in my mind, it didn't count. So anyways, I'm not counting it. The next one is The Two Towers by J.R.R. Tolkien and also Return of the King by Tolkien. I've owned Lord of the Rings forever and I hadn't read it until this year. The next one is The Loneliest Girl in the Universe by Lauren James. Then Cinder by Marissa Meyer, Artemis Fowl by Olin Kofler, and Guards by Terry Pratchett. So I can rest easy with this goal, at least. For the next goal, I have not read any urban fantasy books yet. I'm doing great with that one. I haven't made much of an effort to seek those out yet, so I've got time. Next, sci-fi. I have read 3 of the 5, so over halfway done with that one. I technically read more than that, but there's one I'm not going to count, and I will explain. First is All Systems Red by Martha Wells. So I started the Murderbot Diaries. I also have read Artificial Condition now, the second book, but I'm not counting that one. That's the one I'm not counting because I want to read more, like I want to get into the sci-fi genre. So I don't just want to read one series and call it good there. I want to like read different books in sci-fi. So that's why I'm not counting it. I have All Systems Red. Second one is The Loneliest Girl in the Universe by Lauren James, which was also in the books I own. That is a sci-fi. And then Cinder, also in the books I own by Marissa Meyer. So I've got 3. And then for new releases, I also have not read any new releases yet. That is one I always am so bad at. Like I need to read more new releases just to see like what's happening in the world of publishing. What's the deal? What are we liking? So I need to read more of those. But again, I have half the year, so yeah. So as far as book content goals and what all I wanted to read and start as far as series and standalones, I will put that list here, somewhere hereabouts. First, we have the Stormlight Archive. That is done. I have started that. I have read The Way of Kings, so that is a check. Second is Wheel of Time. I have not started the Wheel of Time yet. I'm so intimidated to start that one. I'm like even more intimidated than I was for The Way of Kings, I think, because it's a really long series. Like The Way of Kings is really long, but Wheel of Time is a long series. So I'm trying to psych myself up for that one, to be honest, but it will happen, I swear. So next is the First Law World standalones. There's 3 of them, and I can check this one off too. I have read Best Served Cold. I at least want to just start it, not necessarily get through it. So at least I got the first book of the standalones read. Next is the City Watch series in Discworld. Done. I've started that. I read Guards. Okay, next I have my 2 manga series specifically that I wanted to start this year. So one is One Piece. Done. I have started that. The next one, Berserk. I have not started that yet. Next, Legends and Lattes. I have not started that one or gotten to it at all yet. Next is Witch King. And again, I've not gotten to that yet. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of the 8 done. So I'm halfway through that list too. So honestly, I'm like perfectly on track. I'm kind of happy with how the goals are going. So yeah, that's, I guess, my goals. Like, I don't really have a lot to say about that. It's all kind of self-explanatory. So it's going well. Yeah. And now let's get into the book haul. All right. I've got a big stack here. So let's just get into it. Okay. So first I have Men at Arms by Terry Pratchett. This is technically the second book in the Discworld City Watch subseries, but it's like, I don't know, one of the like middle-ish Discworld books in the whole entire Discworld series, I believe. So I really liked Guards, and I was like, yes, I want to keep going with the City Watch. And I then decided, after like doing some looking into Discworld online and what people's opinions of it were, I've decided that I'm going to start reading it chronologically now instead of like by sub-series. So it's going to be a while before I even get to Men at Arms, but I have it for when it's time. So yeah. All right. Next is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. So this is kind of a dark fairy tale type of story, which I love fairy tales. That's like my favorite kind of subgenre of fantasy. I said that I like urban fantasy and sci-fi and all that stuff, but fairy tale just has such a like hold on me. I love fairy tales. So anytime a book is described as a fairy tale, whether dark or otherwise, I'm like, yes, I'm into it. Give it to me. So I am very excited for this one. Okay, next is The Magician's Daughter by H.G. Perry. This is another kind of like fairy tale-ish one, I think. Yeah, fairy lore. So there's going to be like fairies. I'm so excited. I love fairies so much, as you can probably guess when I said I like fairy tales. So I'm very excited for this. This is one of the new releases that I could read for my goal, because this one did come out this year, 2023. So, and I think it's also like Celtic or set in coast of Ireland. So, which is a region that I just really like, and I find very interesting and pretty and all this kind of stuff. So I'm excited to get to this one as well. I'm going to be excited for all these probably. Okay, the next book is The Remarkable Retirement of Edna Fisher by E.M. Anderson. I mean, just the title alone is so intriguing. The Remarkable Retirement of Edna Fisher. And it's going to be a fantasy, like a high fantasy. So you're going to have a really like senior protagonist, kind of. It's like a senior chosen one. I am so excited. This is so different. I love older protagonists. So especially older women, that is so cool. It's not something you see very often, honestly. Even in this our year 2023. This is also another one I can read for my new releases reading goal, because this did also come out this year. So yeah, great. Okay, next I got to work on my strength, because this is a heavy chunky book. Next is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clark. And look at how thick this is. Oh my God. Compare it to The Remarkable Retirement of Edna. Look at it. It is so thick. I'm so excited for it though, because like I love the era it's set in. It's like, is it Victorian or Regency era England or 1806? So Napoleonic, I don't know. Whenever the early 1800s were. I don't know, but I do like that time period. And there's also, yet again, fairies. I believe there's fairies in this as far as I understand. So Yes. So this is about like two magicians, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, that are trying to bring magic back to England, I believe. So it's an interesting premise. I like the setting. I like the contents. Well, I like that there's going to be fairies basically and magic and magicians, and it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be good. I'm very excited. Okay, next is Scarlet by Marissa Meyer. This is the second book in the Lunar Chronicles. These are kind of fairy tale retellings. I believe each one is going to be a different fairy tale retelling. The first one was a retelling of Cinderella. I'm guessing they're all kind of like that. This one is Little Red Riding Hood, I believe, because Scarlet, she's got the wolf, red, you know. There's like a moon culture that's evil, apparently. I don't know. It's fun. It's a young adult series. It's just a fun time. Okay, the next book is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. So this is perfect because this is one of my specific reading goals that I want to read this book this year. So I just decided to buy it because it's like never at the library. Someone always has it checked out. So I was like, I might as well just buy it so I can read it at my leisure. So I did. I'm very excited. This is going to be low stakes fantasy. I think that's like actually the tagline, a novel of high fantasy and low stakes, about this orc, this adventuring orc who just wants to open a coffee shop. I think she's an orc. Yes, orc. So I'm so excited. Yes, I keep saying I'm excited, but I am, okay? I just am. It's the truth. I just want to read this. Okay, next is The Sword of Kaigan by Emma Wong. Yeah, Emma Wong. This is actually a self-published book. So this is the only indie book I have in this haul. But everyone raves about it. Everyone's like, Sword of Kaigan is one of the best books. So I wanted to read it. I wanted to try it out and see what all the hype was about. I'm very excited. I honestly don't even know that much about it. I purely just picked it up because a lot of like booktubers that I watch and trust recommend it. So I was like, okay, yeah, sounds good. I'll take it. When the winds of war reach their peninsula, will the Matsuda family have the strength to defend their empire, or will they tear each other apart before the true enemies ever reach their shores? I mean, it sounds fun. So yeah. Okay, and the last book I have is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. The Poppy War. I am interested in it. I feel like I've heard so many polarizing takes on this. Like either people really like it or they really dislike it. And I'm always really interested to see where I'm going to fall on the spectrum whenever that happens. Apparently it's just like a really brutal look at war and how it affects people that are kind of caught in the middle of it, you know, just regular people that are caught in the middle of it. So I think that could be a very interesting subject matter. So yeah, I am interested to see what I'm going to think of the Poppy War. So hopefully I get to it this year. I'm not sure. It's not on my goals, but it's not all the books I'm going to read. So we'll see. So that was it. That was the haul. That was my goals. That's pretty much all I've got for you. Here's to a great rest of the year. Let's see how it goes. If you have any books that you're excited about or like goals you have, I would love to know. I just love to hear people's goals. It's just so motivating to hear other people sometimes. So if you stuck around to this point, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. And otherwise, have a great rest of your day. Farewell.